So, we were discussing the Huckel molecular orbital theory for conjugated systems. We took butadiene as an example. It is shown in this picture or in this picture. This is a better representation. Each one of the carbons in the molecule has an unhybridized p orbital standing perpendicular to the molecule, and that is what is shown here. They are called chi1, chi2, chi3, chi4, and then we say, okay, molecular orbitals may be formed by the combination of these atomic orbitals, and the molecular orbitals have this form, and using this form it is possible to calculate the expression for script T. Naturally, it will depend upon C1, C2, C3, etc., and then you say, okay, I will minimize the energy with respect to each one of them, each one of C1, C2, C3, etc. You will get 4 equations. Those 4 equations can be written or rewritten after making several approximations. They may be written in this form. Okay. And if you look at this matrix equation, what you find is that there is x always along the diagonal and nowhere else x is there. What is x? X is actually alpha minus script T divided by beta, and script T is the thing that you want to determine. And further, you also notice that the matrix is nice. For example, there is a 1 here. What does that 1 represent? It essentially arises because your carbon atom 1 and 2 are interacting. I should not say carbon atoms, but the atomic orbitals on the carbon atoms 1 and 2 are interacting. So, because C1 and C2 are neighbors, you have this 1 here. So, you have a 0 there. Why? Because carbon atoms 1 and 3 are not neighbors. So, the prescription is actually very simple. If you wanted to write the matrix, which is usually referred to as the Huckel matrix for any system, all that you need to do is you fill up with x along the diagonals, and you put a 1 if atoms are nearest neighbors. If they are not nearest neighbors, right, then the matrix element is going to be 0. So, with this understanding, let me look at a few simple systems and illustrate the application of the method. So, the simplest system of course is ethene. So, in the case of ethene, what happens is you have 2 carbon atoms only. So, the structure of the molecule is actually this. This shows only the sigma bonds, the bonds formed by the hybrid orbitals, and then of course there are p orbitals perpendicular to the plane of the board on both the carbon atoms, and so I will draw a picture showing just the carbon atoms and these p orbitals. So, this is the first p orbital and that is the second. Okay, let me call this chi1, call this chi2. So, the trial function that we will use is phi equal to C1 chi1 plus C2 chi2. Now, we can just write the Huckel matrix. What will be the Huckel matrix? It is going to be a 2 by 2 matrix. You remember the prescription, you have to put x along the diagonal. So, you will have a 2 by 2 matrix with x and x there, and the entry here is going to be concerned with the carbon atoms 1 and 2. This is 1, that is 2. So, 1 and 2 are neighbors. So, you are going to get a 1 here, you are going to get a 1 here, because 1 and 2, 2 and 1 are neighbors, and this multiplying C1, C2 must be equal to 0. And in order that C1 and C2 should be non-zero, what should happen is that the determinant of this matrix must be equal to 0. So, what is the determinant of the matrix? We can easily expand the matrix. Okay. Sorry, if you can easily expand the determinant, and what are you going to get? You are going to get x square minus 1 is equal to 0. and this means x may be equal to plus 1 or minus 1, right. And if x is minus 1, what does that mean? It means that you see our definition of x is here, alpha minus script t by beta. So, alpha minus script t by beta is actually minus 1. So, if you rearrange, what will you get? You will get script t to be alpha plus beta, right. I will call this script E1 because I have the other possibility where x is equal to plus 1. In that case, you will get another value for script t, which will be alpha minus beta, right. So, you have found two allowed energy levels. These are energies of two molecular orbitals. I can represent them in a picture. Well, the question is which one is lower? The answer is that this is lower. The reason is that alpha and beta are both negative, right. If you calculate alpha and beta, if you can calculate it, you will find that both are negative, and therefore, alpha plus beta is the lower energy and alpha minus beta is the higher energy. So, this is my epsilon script E1 and this is my script E2. And in the case of ethylene, see each carbon, actually a carbon atom would have 4 valence electrons, but these 3 of the electrons of the carbon atom are used to form 3 sigma bonds. So, 1 for this bond, 1 for that and the third for that, and that leaves 1 electron sitting in the p orbital. So, right, each carbon has these unhybridized p orbitals, right. Each carbon has this p orbital, and it also, the carbon also contributes 1 electron to the pi system. So, therefore, the number of pi electrons that I have to consider in the case of ethylene or ethene is actually 2. And so, what will happen if we had 2 molecular orbitals, these 2 electrons will sit in this lowest, what I expect is bonding molecular orbital, fine. And then the next thing that I will do is I will calculate the molecular orbitals. How will I calculate that? When x is minus 1, right, I am going to put x is equal to minus 1 into this equation. So, if we put x is equal to minus 1, what will you get? The matrix equation will look like this. And if you multiply it, what are you going to get? You will find minus E1 plus E2 is equal to 0. And the second equation that you get is not different. You will find that that says C1 minus C2 is equal to 0. Both the equations are the same. So, essentially, even though I have a matrix equation, essentially I have only one equation. And what does this mean? This means that C1 is equal to C2. And therefore, what is my expression for the corresponding molecular orbital, right, phi? Phi would be actually C1 chi 1 plus C2 chi 2, but C2 is equal to C1. So, therefore, I can write this as C1 into chi 1 plus chi 2. So, this is my first molecular orbital, and therefore, what I will do is I will put a subscript here to indicate that this is the first molecular orbital. And then I have to determine Z1. How will I determine Z1? Answer is very simple. I have to ensure that the orbital is normalized. So, that means I just take the square of it. Squaring is enough. It is not necessary to multiply it by its own complex conjugate, because complex conjugate is the function itself. So, D2, it should be equal to 1, right. So, now suppose I expand this, what is going to happen? I will get chi 1 square D2 plus integral chi 2 square D2 plus 2 chi 1 chi 2 ditto integrated, the whole thing must be equal to 1. This whole thing should be equal to 1, but then chi 1 is normalized, chi 2 is normalized, chi 1 into chi 2 integrated over the entire space is actually the overlap integral, but remember in Huckel theory you neglect the overlap integral, you say that it is equal to 0. So, to be consistent with that, this is going to be taken to be equal to 0. So, you are going to get C1 square into 1 plus 1 equal to 1, which is the normalization condition, implies that C1 must be equal to how much? C1 must be equal to 1 by root 2. So, therefore, this orbital phi 1 is actually 1 by root 2 times chi 1 plus chi 2. On the other hand, if you had put x is equal to minus 1, okay, you are going to get this as the energy, and if you substituted, we have just now done the case where x is equal to minus 1. So, let me put x is equal to plus 1. So, if you put x is equal to plus 1, the same kind of analysis can be carried out, it is pretty straightforward. What will happen is that you will get 1 1 1 1, that is the value of the matrix, and so this into C 1 C 2 must be equal to 0, which implies that C 1 must be equal to minus C 2, right, and then you can go ahead and find the orbital without any difficulty. You will find that that orbital is phi 2 equal to 1 by root 2 chi 1 minus chi 2. Right. So, as expected, actually this is a bonding molecular orbital, that is an anti-bonding molecular orbital. So, how will I represent these orbitals pictorially? Well, these are the p orbitals. Remember, this lobe is plus, that also is plus, this is minus, that is minus. So, if you added the two up, you are going to get the bonding orbital. How would it look like? It would look like, roughly it would look like this. These are the two atoms. Correct? The two lobes are equivalent, and you should also remember that this orbital has a nodal plane. This is a nodal plane. Then to get the other orbital, what you should do is you have to multiply the second one with a minus 1. So, therefore, this lobe will become negative and that will become plus, and then you just add. You will get the second orbital, and obviously the second orbital would look like this. And in addition to the node that the p orbitals have, this particular orbital has a nodal plane which is perpendicular to the plane of the molecule, something like that. And further, if you like, you can say, okay, in the case of ethene, there are 2 electrons sitting in this molecular orbital. So, therefore, the total pi electron energy of ethene, which we will denote as E pi appropriate for ethene, how much will it be? You will have 2 times alpha plus beta as the energy. Now, this may make you unhappy. The reason is that I have just added, you see, alpha plus beta is the energy of 1 electron. So, you multiply that by 2, I am saying that you will get the pi electron energy. You may ask, what about electron repulsions? Because we know that electrons actually repel each other, we should be worrying about that, but you see Huckel theory is very approximate, very crude, and it simply neglects electron repulsions. Okay. Now, further what it does is so many approximations have been made that it is practically impossible to calculate any of these things using rigorous quantum mechanics. So, what is usually done is this alpha and beta are taken to be parameters which are to be determined from experiment. Right, you adjust their values in such a fashion that there is best agreement with experimental values. and because of this, this is actually known as a semi-empirical theory. And in most applications, that one makes, the value of alpha itself is not needed, because you see usually what will happen is that you will calculate energy differences and compare with the experiment. So, if you calculate energy difference between this and that, then you will find that that does not involve alpha. Energy difference actually is minus 2 beta, right. And suppose you can spectroscopically measure the frequency of the radiation which will bring about this transition, then you can estimate the value of beta, and there are other ways of estimating the value of beta, but again this is a little bit problematic, because depending upon the method that you use, the values of beta that you get are somewhat different. And we will assume the value of beta to be 230 kilojoules per mole. So, now suppose I think of the next system. Well, I would like to think of a system which contains 3 carbon atoms, and so I will say that I have 3 carbon atoms. The system will be allyl. For example, it could be allyl radical, or it could be allyl cation or allyl anion. Okay. So, you will have a CH2 here, CH and CH2, and you will have 3 unhybridized p orbitals. You can call them chi1, chi2, chi3. And what will be the Huckel matrix? Naturally, the Huckel matrix will be a 3 by 3 matrix. How will you write it down? The diagonal elements are all equal to x. You will have a 1 here because atoms 1 and 2 are neighbors. You will have a 0 here because atoms 1 and 3 are not neighbors. Here again you will have a 1 because 2 and 1 are neighbors. Then here you will have a 0 because they are not neighbors. Then this is 1 and that also is 1. So, this is the structure of the Huckel matrix. C1, C2, C3 must be equal to 0. Okay. And then what will you say? You will say that the determinant of this matrix must be equal to 0. The determinant of this matrix must be equal to 0. Now, this matrix is easy to expand, and you will find that the answer is x cube minus 2x is equal to 0. If you expanded the matrix, sorry, if you expanded the determinant, you will find that it is x cube minus 2x, which may be written as x into x square minus 2 is equal to 0. This implies that I have 3 possible values of x being minus root 2 is one possibility. The next possibility is x is equal to 0, and well, let me put x is equal to plus root 2 first, then x being equal to minus root 2. So, then I will have to say that alpha minus script t by beta is minus root 2, which you can easily find. The solution, you will find that the corresponding energy is script E1, which is alpha plus root 2 beta. Right, you just put this minus root 2 in here and then rearrange, and you will find that script t must be equal to so much. If x is equal to 0, you will find that the energy level is actually epsilon script E2, which is equal to alpha. And if x is equal to root 2, you will find the next energy level script E3, which is alpha plus, alpha minus root 2 beta. So, you will find that these are the 3 allowed energy levels of the system. So, you can represent them in a picture. Okay. So, these are the 3 allowed energy levels. And then you ask the question, how many electrons are there in the system? If it is allyl radical, there are 3 electrons, because each carbon will contribute 1 electron to the pi system. Allyl cation means you have only 2 electrons. So, if I am thinking of allyl cation, what I will do is I will put 2 electrons here and they will be paired, while if I had allyl radical, the 3rd electron will go there, and if I had allyl anion, there will be 1 more electron. So, let me say I am thinking of allyl cation, this is the structure, or this is how the electrons are distributed. But then you will ask, what about the corresponding expressions for molecular orbitals? That will take a little bit of time, because what I will have to do is I will have to put x is equal to minus root 2, right. I will have to put x is equal to minus root 2, then solve for C1, C2, C3, find C1, C2, C3, then normalize the orbital. And similarly, you can do with x is equal to 0 as well as x is equal to plus root 2. So, let me just write the expressions that you will get. The first molecular orbital that you will find actually is 1 by 2 chi 1 plus root 2 chi 2 plus chi 3. This is the first molecular orbital that you will find. Then the second molecular orbital that you will find is phi 2, which is actually 1 by root 2 times, and the third made a mistake. So, these are the 3 molecular orbitals of the system. They are not difficult to find, it needs a little bit of time to do the analysis. So, I do not go into the details of the analysis, but this is what happens. And then how will you represent these molecular orbitals? Well, you have 3 carbon atoms, 1, 2, 3, you have p orbitals on each one of them. Okay. And if you are concerned with the first molecular orbital, you can see that they are simply being added up. But you also notice that the second orbital has a lot of importance, because it is coefficient is square root of 2, while the coefficients of the other 2 are just unity. So, therefore, this is more important, this orbital is more important, and therefore, what will happen? The molecular orbital will have more value near that atom, near the second carbon atom. So, if I wanted to represent it in a figure, okay, these are the 3 carbon atoms C1, C2, C3. The way to represent this orbital will be something like this. Notice that I have put more this size for the second carbon atom, right. This is essentially because the coefficient is root 2 there from that carbon atom. Now, if you looked at the second one, you find again something very surprising. Why? Because there is no contribution from the second carbon. So, how will you represent this? Well, chi 3 is occurring with a negative sign. So, naturally this is plus and that is minus, but chi 3 occurs with a negative sign. So, you have minus and plus. Obviously, there is a node here. The lowest one, you see, it has only one node, which is the plane of the molecule. This has 2 nodes, one is the plane of the molecule and the other is a plane like that, and there is no contribution from the second carbon atom, and it is as if you see you have two separate atomic orbitals. This actually resembles two separate atomic orbitals, and you would expect that there is actually no stability for the system caused by the formation of this molecular orbital, because you see, if there was a contribution from the second carbon atom, then you could have thought that maybe the system is getting more stable or less stable, but that does not happen, and that is the reason why the energy of this orbital is just alpha. What is alpha? Alpha is the energy. Remember, alpha was our H11, for example, that is just the energy of an atomic orbital. Right, so here there is no interaction essentially between these two lobes, and therefore the energy is unaffected. The energy is just equal to alpha. While here, of course, there are interactions, there are attractive or stabilizing interactions, and that is why the orbital has a low energy. Now, if you look at this orbital, you will conclude that this is not a stabilizing orbital. In fact, this is a bonding MO. This one is anti-bonding, and the middle one you refer to it as a non-bonding. This is not actually involved in any bond formation. Okay. And now, if I drew the third one, how will I represent it? Well, here that again the contribution of the second atom is more, but it occurs with a negative sign. So, therefore, how will I represent it? Well, this is plus, that is minus, this also is plus, here is minus, but the middle one you have to multiply it by minus root 2, and therefore, that is how it would appear. This value of beta, let me keep it somewhere else. So, this is the allyl system. Now, another interesting system is butadiene. All that happens is you have one more carbon and so the Huckel matrix I will just continue here, would have the form this will be the Huckel matrix, this into C1, C2, C3, C4 is equal to 0, okay, and then you have to expand the determinant, you have to evaluate the determinant. Well, I will just show you my PowerPoint presentation on this, on the things that I had been saying. Well, this has lots of information, this PowerPoint presentation. First is ethylene, we have already discussed it, that is the Huckel matrix. X square minus 1 is equal to 0 is the determinant being put equal to 0, then x is equal to plus or minus 1. This means that you will get epsilon 1 which is equal to alpha plus beta, then you will also get epsilon 2 which is alpha minus beta, and as I told you, beta is approximately 230 kilojoules per mole. These are the molecular orbitals phi 1 and phi 2, and the expressions for them are also here. Phi 1 is given by that, while phi 2 is given by that expression. We have already done this. Then allyl system again, that is the Huckel matrix. If you put the determinant equal to 0, you will get the solutions which are shown here. You have 3 solutions, and corresponding to that you have 3 energy levels. First energy level and the corresponding molecular orbital are shown here. second energy level and the corresponding molecular orbital, third energy level and the corresponding molecular orbital. We have again discussed all this. Then if you think of butadiene, this is the Huckel matrix. Expand the Huckel matrix, you will get this equation, x to the power of 4 minus 3x square plus 1 is equal to 0. You can solve for the values of x, you will find that these are the values of x, right, minus 1.618 minus 0.618 plus 0.618 and 1.618. So, these actually will give you 4 energy levels, which may be denoted as epsilon 1, epsilon 2, epsilon 3 and epsilon 4. What are their values? They are actually alpha plus 1.618 beta, alpha plus 0.618 beta, alpha minus 0.618 beta and alpha minus 1.618 beta. And the corresponding molecular orbitals you can calculate, you will find that these are the corresponding molecular orbitals. We will look at the molecular orbitals in a second, but before we do that, let us look at the energy levels of the system. These are the 4 allowed energy levels. And in the case of butadiene, right, 4 energy levels are shown here. These are the energies of the molecular orbitals. Butadiene has how many pi electrons? Well, each carbon contributes 1 pi electron to the system. So, therefore, it has 4 pi electrons. What will they do? They will go and sit in these bonding molecular orbitals, correct. This orbital has an energy of alpha plus 1.618 beta. This has an energy of alpha plus 0.618 beta. The other orbitals are not occupied, but they have energies which are given by these expressions. So, if these 2 orbitals are occupied, what will be the pi electron energy of butadiene? Well, you will have to multiply this by 2, this also by 2 and then add them up. If you did that addition, you will find that the answer is 4 alpha plus how much? Well, maybe I should do the addition 0.618 into 4. So, it will work out to be 4.472 beta. So, this we say is the pi electron energy of butadiene. Okay. Now, I shall assume that you know a little bit of organic chemistry. So, this is one of the ways of writing the structure of butadiene. Suppose I had written a structure like this. So, if you say that okay, this is the structure of butadiene, in the a chemical structure written this way actually means that there is an ethene-like double bond here and an ethene-like double bond there. Now, if you had an ethene-like bond here and if you use the Huckel theory, this ethene-like bond would have a pi electron energy of alpha plus beta into 2, right. And this ethene-like bond also would have an energy of alpha 2 times alpha plus beta, and therefore, if you had 2 separate ethene-like bonds, how much will be the total energy of the system? It would have been 4 alpha plus 4 beta. But in the case of butadiene, the pi electron energy is not this, right. The actual pi electron energy is so much. Why this is happening? The reason is actually simple. If you had 2 separate ethene-like systems which were not interacting, then that would have been the energy. But what you actually have is not 2 separate ethene-like entities, but you have molecular orbitals. These molecular orbitals are actually delocalized over the entire system. We will look at the shapes of the molecular orbitals in a few seconds. You will see that the molecular orbitals are delocalized, and therefore, what has happened, you see this is the energy if they were localized, right. The bonds were localized between these atoms and those atoms, but because the molecular orbitals are delocalized, what has happened? The energy has changed from here to there. Now, which one of these two energies is lower? The answer is that this is lower, because beta is negative. So, this change we say is because of delocalization, and people usually denote it by the symbol dE, just shorthand notation for delocalization energy. How much is the delocalization energy? It is this energy minus that energy. So, it is actually minus 0.472 beta, and I realized that I had a slight mistake here. Beta should have been, I mean, strictly speaking, this is just the magnitude of beta, actual value would be minus 230. Okay. So, therefore, you can use that and estimate the delocalization energy of bearded iron. You will find that it is approximately 110 kilojoules per mole. So, this is the reason why organic chemists say that delocalization actually lowers the energy of the system. There is also another way of thinking about it, which is in terms of resonance, but we will not go into the details of that. We will just stick to the molecular orbital theory, and according to molecular orbital theory, there is a lowering of energy because of delocalization energy, and the roughly speaking, in the case of bearded iron, this is the amount of energy. Now, we will discuss the most important system that is of interest to the chemists, that which is actually benzene. So, how will benzene be? Well, before I go into benzene, I did promise that I shall talk about the molecular orbitals of bearded iron. So, let me just look at the molecular orbitals. The expressions are shown there. Because I would like to finish this topic today, I shall not write those expressions on the board, but I will just draw the molecular orbitals. The molecular orbital phi 1, for example, if you look at this, you see this is carbon 1, carbon 2, carbon 3 and carbon 4, and if you looked at the expression, you will find that all the orbitals are occurring with positive sign. Not only that, the middle two atomic orbitals have a larger weightage. So, how will you draw this? Answer is actually quite simple. So, this is the way, this will be plus and that is minus, this is phi 1. In a similar fashion, you can look at the coefficients and make plots of the other molecular orbitals. Let me just draw them. So, that is phi 2, then phi 3, so this is phi 3. I mean, this you can draw by just looking at the coefficients and then making appropriate analysis. And finally, phi 4. So, that is phi 4. I mean, these things can be easily drawn by just looking at the expressions for the molecular orbitals in terms of the atomic orbitals. So, having seen that, we will discuss benzene. So, in the case of benzene, you will say, okay, let me number the carbon atoms. Let me say this is carbon atom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, naturally, the Huckel matrix will be a 6 by 6 matrix. Okay. So, you will have X. Here you will have 1 because 1 and 2 are neighbors, right. 1 and 2 are neighbors. So, you will have 1, then 1 and 3 are not neighbors. So, you will have 0, 1 and 4 are not neighbors. So, that means another 0, 1 and 5 again not neighbors, but if you think of 1 and 6, they are neighbors and therefore, you are going to get a 1 here. Then you can continue like this, you will get 1x1 0 0 0, 0 1x1 0 0, 0 0 1x1 0, and 0 0 0 1 x 1, and finally 1 0 0 0 1 x. This is the Huckel matrix. Fine. And you of course will say that, okay, this multiplying C1 into C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6 is 0. And then you will have to put the determinant of the matrix equal to 0. So, if you did that, you will get an equation. Okay, this is the Huckel matrix. Okay, that is the Huckel matrix. You expand the determinant of the matrix, put it equal to 0, then you will find that this equation, it looks complex, but it can be written in this simple factored form. And what does this mean? This means that you have different solutions. What are the solutions? X is equal to minus 2 is a possible solution. X is equal to minus 2 is a solution, x is equal to minus 2 implies energy is alpha plus 2 beta. And the way this equation is, you will find that x is equal to 1 occurs 2 times, because it is occurring with x minus 1 is occurring with a square. So, x is equal to 1 occurs 2 times. That actually means your orbital is doubly degenerate. Then x is equal to minus 1 occurs 2 times, x is equal to minus 2 occurs only once. So, this is actually having an energy of alpha plus beta, that has energy of alpha minus beta, and this one has an energy of alpha minus 2 beta. And in the ground state of benzene, how many electrons are there? How many pi electrons are there? The answer is 6. So, you will have to put 2 electrons here, 2 electrons there, and 2 electrons there. So, if you looked at this, you can calculate the pi electron energy of benzene. What is the pi electron energy? You multiply this by 2, because there are 2 electrons here. You multiply alpha plus beta by 4 and then add. If you did that, you are going to get 6 alpha plus 8 beta as the pi electron energy of benzene. So, this is the pi electron energy of benzene. Now, in comparison, suppose I say I have a chemical structure where I shall represent the structure something like that, and this means what? 3 separate ethene-like units. Each ethene-like unit has an energy, pi electron energy of alpha plus 2 times alpha plus beta, right. This is the energy of one ethene-like system. So, you multiply this by 3, right, you are going to get 6 alpha plus 6 beta. So, if you had separate ethene like units which are not interacting with one another, then the energy would have been 6 alpha, sorry, yeah, it would have been 6 alpha plus 6 beta. And if you compare these two, what is the conclusion? The conclusion is that delocalization of the molecular orbitals, right, delocalization caused by the formation of molecular orbitals actually has lowered the energy of pi electron energy of benzene. And how much is the lowering? You find the difference between the two and you conclude that the lowering is actually minus 2 beta, and beta has a value of minus 230 kilojoules per mole. So, this works out to be roughly 460 kilojoules per mole. And this value is quite large, and this is the reason why benzene is extra stable, and in fact, this is a molecule that you refer to as being aromatic. Now, the molecular orbitals of benzene, I shall just show the expressions. The expressions are here. Okay, they will take time to compute. So, we will not do the computation, but I will show you a nice picture which shows these molecular orbitals. So, this is the where the molecular orbitals are. In fact, I should say that this particular picture is taken from the web, right. And I think with this I shall conclude this course, but before I actually conclude, I would like to leave you with a quotation. The quotation actually says that quantum mechanics forms the basis for the whole of chemistry. I hope the lectures that I have given convinces you that quantum mechanics is very useful for the chemists, and this quotation actually is due to a physicist, a very famous one, and the quotation is actually from Dirac. Now, I would like to also acknowledge the NPTEL, in fact, Professor Mangalasundar, who asked me to give this set of lectures. He has been very nice, and in addition, I would of course like to thank the staff of the NPTEL program here in Madras IIT. They have been very cordial and helpful, and I would like to thank students of IIT Madras who have attended my lectures. And finally, I would of course like to thank the Department of Inorganic Chemistry, which is my department, Department of Inorganic and Physical Chemistry, Indian Institute of Science, which is in Bangalore. And to conclude, I shall leave you with this question. So, thank you very much. Thanks to all of you.